Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Since it's the 40th anniversary of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Conan the Barbarian, I thought it would be appropriate to create a video comparing it to its remake. I know my first original and remake comparison video was popular if not a bit controversial, so hopefully I won't cause as much upset this time. Without further ado, on with the review.
Polos is life, 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 sleep all night and then Polos is life.
I feel like I must preface this video by saying while I have seen both adaptations many times, I have not read any of the source material, so I can't really strike up a comparison for that too. I'm just going to talk about which film did what better and why in my opinion, and you guys can leave any input you think is necessary in the comments down below. I'm also not going to include Conan the Destroyer because I want to just compare the original film to its remake. While doing research on Conan's background, I discovered that the films are based on a character created by Robert E. Howard that was originally featured in a famous pulp magazine from the early 20th century, Weird Tales. According to the article I'm using to research this, throughout the next 29 stories that Howard wrote, Conan was variously depicted as a pirate, a thief, a mercenary, a warrior, and a king. This will be relevant later. Personally, the first exposure I had to the Conan franchise was the 2011 remake. It aired on TV not long after it was released, and I just finished my usual watching of Doctor Who, and was browsing the channels before going upstairs to bed. I watched the first half an hour or so, but got weirded out by a lot of the violence as I was quite young at the time, so turned it off. Several years later, my brother brought up the movie, but was talking about Schwarzenegger. Naturally, we traded films. So, I decided to make this video in order to discuss my thoughts on both versions. Okay, let's start from the beginning. In the 1982 adaptation, Conan is the son of a blacksmith in his tribe, the Cimmerians. In the beginning of the film, Conan's father takes him to the top of a mountain and tells him of the Cimmerian god, Crom, and the riddle of steel, a myth similar to that of Prometheus. Conan's village is raided by Thulsa Doom, the film's villain, and his men. Conan's father is struck in battle and then mauled by dogs, and Conan watches his mother be decapitated by Thulsa Doom himself, with his father's sword. The Cimmerian children are taken into slavery and are made to work an enormous mill called the Wheel of Pain. Conan survives this and grows to be a Goliath. His master notices this and decides to train him to be a gladiator. Conan wins countless fights and is sent to the east where he learns to read and is given special training. His master sets him free and he becomes a nomad before becoming a thief. In this adaptation, Conan is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. This has some similarities and differences to the 2011 adaptation. In this version, Conan is the son of the chief of the Cimmerians. He was born on a battlefield and exceeds the Cimmerian rite of passage for young men, while also single-handedly defeating attackers sent by this movie's villain, Kala Zim. Kala Zim then comes to take the village himself, massacring its inhabitants and murdering Conan's father in front of him. Conan is the sole survivor of this attack, and he swears revenge, not without disfiguring Lucius, one of Kala Zim's men. He wanders the world before joining a band of pirates. In this version, he is played by Jason Momoa. I like both characterizations of young Conan. They both introduce their individual interpretations of the character, while explaining the reasons for his later behavior. The Cimmerians are depicted as being much more focused on the warrior, barbarian lifestyle in the newer film. There are some references to Crom, but not really as much as in the original. Conan is depicted as being a lot more bloodthirsty and brutal as a young boy in the 2011 adaptation. There were hints of this in the original film, with the riddle of steel showing the Cimmerians' belief in the importance of metal and its uses, but the war aspect of their way of life before the raid was made extremely apparent in the remake. Conan in the 1982 adaptation is shown to begin off quite innocent, earnestly listening to his father's story, and confusedly looking on as his parents die. Before completing the main quest, avenging his people, Conan goes on a few adventures before this. In the 1982 adaptation, after being freed, Conan is chased through the desert by wild dogs and hides in what turns out to be an ancient tomb dedicated to Crom. There he finds a magnificent sword, and while seeking shelter he comes across a witch. She provides him with information about Doom's snake cult, not without a price to pay, of course, you lot can fill in the blanks, but this results in her trying to kill him, and he throws her into the fire. In the 2011 film adaptation, however, Conan and his pirate crew free a group of slaves by killing their slave masters. Conan goes through quite a bit more in the first half of the original film, which can be a bit confusing in my opinion, because it's easy to just forget most of it by the time you get to the main quest. These events occur around the same time that Conan meets the friends he'll take on his main quest, revenge. After coming across the witch, Conan meets a thief named Subutai, who is a skilled archer, and they become companions on the quest. The witch told Conan to go to a city named Zamora if he wanted to find Thulsa Doom, and there they meet a thief called Valeria. Together, they raid the Tower of the Serpent, taking its riches with them, including an incredibly large jewel named the Eye of the Serpent. Unfortunately, when I watch this now, all I can think about is that $25 million rock that Lil Uzi Vert stuck in his head. Conan also kills a giant snake in the tower. The trio escape with their riches, and the king's guards bring them to see him. Although our heroes initially assume they're in trouble, the king requests that they save his daughter, Princess Yasmina, who has become a devout follower of Thulsa Doom's cult. Subutai and Valeria refuse, but remembering Doom from his childhood, Conan sets off on his own. There is also the Wizard of the Mounds, Akiro, but he is more significant in the sequel, Conan the Destroyer. In the 2011 adaptation, Conan has a friend in his pirate crew named Artus, and their dynamic is quite nice, just a classic bromance moment. After they free the slaves, they go to a bar where a thief named Elishan is being arrested by Lucius. Recognizing him, Conan allows himself to be arrested alongside Elishan. While in prison, Conan breaks loose of his chains and interrupts Lucius's torturing of Elishan. They torture Lucius to extract information from him about Karlazim's whereabouts, before allowing his prisoners to kill him. As Conan is leaving, Elishan tells him that he will help him in future, as he is now indebted to Conan, and that he is a skilled lockpick. We see a lot more of Conan's companions on screen in the original, with them helping him on missions more and helping him a lot during the main quest as well. While they're suggested to have known each other for a shorter period of time compared to Conan and Artus of the remake, we are shown a lot more of their relationship on screen. I must add that making Elishan be rescued by Conan makes the dynamic very different to the one between Conan and Subutai. Conan does sort of rescue Subutai in the original as he is very hungry and cold when Conan finds him, but he is a nomad like Conan, and their relationship is more symbiotic in comparison, as they both benefit each other consistently, compared to owing each other. It's a nice parallel, that both Elishan and Subutai have a specific skill that is useful to both them and Conan though. In the 1982 original, Conan's love interest is Valeria. They have sex before being summoned to the king's court, and Valeria shows a tremendous amount of love for Conan, sacrificing herself for him when he is dying, but I'll get to that later. In the 2011 remake, Conan finds this film's love interest, Tamara, while she is being ambushed by Karlazim's men in the forest, while she is trying to evade capture. Karlazim is interested in her because he wants to sacrifice her, but again, I'll get to that later. Essentially, she is a priest girl descended from a group of very powerful evil wizards. Conan and her develop a relationship when he learns of how she is being chased by Karlazim, and he rescues and protects her from being captured, before ultimately saving her when she is about to be possessed by Karlazim's deceased witch wife. Yeah, I know, it gets weird. I would call Tamara a damsel in distress, but she's kinda not. She does help Conan, particularly in his fight with Karlazim and the Sandmen, where she even rescues him when he is poisoned by Karlazim's daughter Marique. The difference between her and Valeria is that Tamara does rely on Conan a lot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but not really the kind of dynamic that I like. Valeria is shown to be much more capable than Tamara, and is actively useful to Conan a lot more. She's clearly done well for herself as a highwaywoman before meeting Conan, rather than hiding in a monastery like Tamara. Like Subutai and Conan, the dynamic just seems more equal in terms of bravado, which is what I personally like. After heading off to capture Thulsa Doom, Conan disguises himself as a priest to enter the Temple of Set, but his identity is discovered and he is captured. Pissed that Conan killed his pet in the Tower of the Serpent, Thulsa Doom orders him to be crucified on the Tree of Woe. He is discovered by Subutai, who brings him to Akiro. Akiro agrees to summon spirits to save Conan, but he tells a distressed Valeria that there will be a heavy toll to pay, but she still agrees and Conan is resurrected. The trio break into the Temple of Set, where a snake orgy is going on. In the battle that ensues, Valeria is shot by Thulsa Doom and dies in Conan's arms, fulfilling Akiro's warning. Doom escapes in Conan's anguish, and Valeria is cremated at the mounds. Having also rescued a now vengeful Princess Yasmina and recovering his father's now broken sword, Conan sneaks back into the temple. Thulsa Doom attempts to hypnotize Conan, but is decapitated in front of his followers by Conan with his father's sword, paralleling Conan's mother's death earlier in the film. After his fight with Zim, Marik and the Sandmen in the 2011 adaptation, Conan and Tamara board Conan's ship, where they are attacked by Zim's men but are victorious. Conan leaves to confront Zim by himself, but Tamara follows him and is taken prisoner by Zim and Marik. Upon learning of this, Conan asks Elis Shan to assist him with breaking into Kala Zim's castle. They defeat a giant kraken-like creature and its handlers, before Conan makes his way to Tamara and frees her. When Marik attacks Tamara, she and Conan fight her off, Tamara kicking her into a ravine where she is impaled. This only angers Kala Zim more, and he calls upon the spirit of his dead wife using a magic mask, who begins to possess Tamara as she is clinging to a ledge. She tells Conan to let her fall, but he destroys the bridge Zim is standing on. Zim falls to his death, destroying his mask, and Tamara and Conan escape. I find the original resolution much more satisfying than the one in the remake. The fact that Conan kills Thulsa Doom in the exact manner he killed his mother in is very fitting and gives the story a sort of parable kind of feeling to it. The resolution in the remake is okay, but it's not really anything new or specific to the story. The villain in each version is very different and have very different motivations. In the 1982 film, the villain, Thulsa Doom, is played by the one and only James Earl Jones, who is most famously known for his roles as the voice of Darth Vader and Mufasa. As I stated before, he is the leader of a seemingly ever-growing snake cult, and the level of his humanity is left ambiguous. In the 2011 film, we have two villains, Kala Zim, who is played by Stephen Lang, and his witch daughter Marik, who is played by Rose McGowan. It's stated in the film that Zim was originally just a bandit who became a king through raiding villages, and whose wife was a powerful witch. I think the characterization of Doom makes him a much scarier villain in comparison to Zim. He doesn't always use brutality and violence to get his way, because he doesn't need to. While Conan is being interrogated by him, he tells the man of the power of flesh, and gently commands a young girl who is one of his followers to blindly jump off a ledge towards him to her death. Whether it's because of his magic or his personality, people want to follow him, and that's true power. Kala Zim is motivated by wanting to become a god through the Mask of Acheron. The Acheron were the aforementioned group of evil wizards who were defeated by the Barbarians years before the film's events. They created a mask of evil that was split into pieces and hidden by the different tribes, and Zim killing the Sumerians was him taking their piece from them. He is obsessed with gaining this power and resurrecting his wife, who was burned at the stake for helping him trying to bring back this evil. Despite this, unlike Doom, he is very human in his behaviour. He flies into rages, and his physical brutality just isn't creepy like Doom's calm, well-spoken demeanour. Zim's pursuit of godhood is a reminder that he's only a man, whereas I have no idea what Doom is. The fact that Lucius was willing to betray him also enforces this, when Doom's followers would never, even under torture. The implied incestuous feelings Marik holds for her father also really caught me off guard and felt really unnecessary. It just seems like they threw it in to add another layer of disgust towards the antagonists. Doom's way of gaining followers just seems more personal too. Sure, killing your family is pretty evil, but he doesn't just do that. He will psychologically kidnap your children, as seen with Princess Yasmina, so they're shells of their former selves. They're alive, sure, but are they? And at least if they're dead, you know how they are or what they're doing. One thing I can compliment the 2011 remake on is their use of practical effects is far superior to the ones in the original film. I mean, what the fuck is this thing? The sets are pretty good, as like with Dune in its remake, the world just seems a lot bigger in the newer version. The CGI is pretty naff, but it was 2011 and it was only an accent to the practical effects, so I can let it slide. Both films are narrated. The original film is narrated by Mako, a Japanese-American actor known for his roles in classic Hollywood films, and who also plays Akira. The remake is narrated by Morgan Freeman, which I don't think is surprising to anyone. The man has a nice voice. The original film also seems to have quite a bit of Christian or biblical imagery in it, with our hero Conan being crucified and then dying before being resurrected. I think this also really emphasized the sort of age-old tale thing they were going for. This aspect of the original is rather lacking in the remake. There's also this overarching theme of Conan fulfilling a prophecy of becoming a great king in the original film that is far less apparent in the remake. There is also a surprising amount of nudity in the original. There is some nudity in the remake, but I don't think it compares, which is surprising because you would think it would be the other way around. If it wasn't obvious enough from my commentary, I do prefer the original film. I know that it's extremely dated and rather goofy at times, but what can I say, I love old films. I think it's that the 1982 film just feels more like a classic story, whereas the remake feels very Hollywoody. But what do you guys think? Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.
Nothing like a polo to ease my mind. With polos by my side, I'll always shine. The blue and green ones are my favorite kind, but I'll eat the colored ones from time to time. Cause polos is life, 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 polos is life. Sleep all night and then